If you're hearing this, the signal is holding. Listen carefully. A single choice, a moment of hesitation, a path not taken, that's all it takes to break from your world into mine. In the beginning of the 20th century, our forefathers dreamed of the sky. Cities stretched upward, steel and glass reaching for the clouds. In your timeline, the age of airships faded. The jet age came and went. The ground held you in place. But here in ours, something changed. At a point in your history, we left the ground. It was 1937, the Hindenburg disaster. In your timeline, it ended the era of airships. In ours, it accelerated it. Better and safer designs, new materials, a push for independence from the land. The world's great cities took to the skies. First, they floated. Then they drifted. They never came down. By the 1960s, the first fully functional airborne district was established. The first generation of skyborne were raised without streets, without borders. Gravity became a suggestion, not a rule. Land ownership, irrelevant. Nations, harder to define. Cities no longer anchored people in place. We became a society of movement, always shifting, always reforming. A city here is not a place, it's a formation. Floating cities and vast sky colonies replaced the old ways. There was no jet age here. Instead, military airships became the backbone of transport, industry, and defense. Fleets of colossal dirigibles controlled the skies, securing trade routes and maintaining power. When you built roads, you built limits, lanes, intersections, traffic, bottlenecks that kept movement restricted, controlled. We have no such barriers. The sky is infinite. We travel in layers, not lanes, above, below, around. Travel is fluid, dynamic. There is no waiting, no congestion, no restriction, only motion. But what happens to the ground when no one stays? First, it was slow, farmland left untended, streets growing silent. Governments tried to prevent the drift, but populations quickly adapted and migrated to the skies. The land was forgotten. According to history in 1992, the last of the people who were in the land left it. Now, the earth belongs to time. Forests reclaim the old cities, rivers carved through abandoned highways. Some say there are still people down there. The ones who refuse to leave, the ones who were left behind. But no one has spoken of them. No one looks back. The ground is a ghost. The sky is not gentle. No second chances. People disappear into the clouds, sometimes by accident, sometimes by choice. There is no road back. The sky gives us freedom, but not security. The world below has paid the price for our flight. Sea levels rose. Wildfires consumed forests with no one left to contain them. The weather, once predictable, grew erratic, storm systems uncontrolled, monsoons without warning. We can constantly hear a hum that comes from the lands below. The authorities say machines still run, but they manufacture goods for a civilization that no longer walks the earth. No civilization rises without power. We were no different. At first, they relied on helium, hydrogen, and combustion engines. But fossil fuels were made for the ground. The weight of dependency dragged them down. We needed something lighter, something self-sustaining. Up here, the sun is constant, harsh, unfiltered, endless. The first floating solar farms marked the beginning of the great energy shift. High-altitude kites and towers siphon electricity straight from the sky. Lightning farms harvest raw power from the storms that threaten them. The most advanced cities move like living organisms, seeking out storms not to avoid them, but to feed off them. Food no longer comes from the soil. Aeroponic farms hang beneath our cities, drawing moisture from the clouds. Grains, fruits, and vegetables thrive in mist-filled chambers, sustained by the air itself. The ocean remains our last tether to the earth. Floating aquafarms drift with the tides, cultivating fish and marine life, form the backbone of our diet, while deep-sea fisheries provide the only true meat we still harvest. Water is pulled from the sky, purified before it meets the ground. We are no longer bound to the earth. Forces still descend. We see them sometimes, shapes against the ruined buildings. The officials claim it's for reconnaissance, maintenance, or research. Yet no one is allowed to return. Some believe the old world still breathes down there, that something is beneath the ruins. The sky is not utopia. This is not a better world, nor is it a worse one. It is simply one you were never meant to see. And soon you'll